Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Healing Empath. If you are new here, this is a space for empaths who are ready to move from pain to power, from emotional overload to emotional freedom. Today, we're going to dive into something that I call the empath's identity crisis, a struggle that so many unhealed or unhealthy empaths silently go through. And maybe you have too. But before we get into the topic of the day, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And don't forget to put on your notifications so you can see the future content that I provide. And then at the end of the video, if you can please just hit that like button if you like the video. I'd rather you be honest. If you don't like it, you don't have to hit the like button, but if you do like the video, hit that like button. And last but not least, please go follow my quote page. It is on Instagram at I am the healthy empath on Instagram. That is I am the healthy. I'm sorry, I said I am the healthy. That's not it. It's I am the healing empath. Okay, so I am the healing empath on Instagram. Please go follow. It's a quote page. I just started it, and in the future I'm going to be adding some of my links to the YouTube content that I do here. Okay, so let's get into it. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, who am I really? Like, who am I? You know, like not in the role as what us empaths tend to do, or unhealthy empaths. And before I even say this, if you haven't checked out the healthy versus unhealthy empath video I did, please go check that video out, and it explains if you're a healthy empath versus an unhealthy empath. And then you'll see why I'm saying I consider myself an unhealthy empath that is working on being a healthy empath. Okay, so have you ever stopped and asked yourself, who am I really? Not in your role as the helper, the fixer, the feeler, the listener, but you, just you for a minute. Have you ever thought, like, who am I? If you've ever struggled to answer that question, like myself, or felt lost when you're not needed by someone, this message is for you. Okay, so what is the empath identity crisis? So the empath identity crisis is what happens when you've spent so much of your life tuned into other people's emotions that you've lost touch with your own. I'm going to say that again. The empath's identity crisis is what happens when you've spent so much of your life tuned into other people's emotions that you've lost touch with your own. Okay? And I can identify with everything that I'm talking about right now. You've become the emotional sponge, the safe space, the go-to for everyone's problems. And somewhere along the way, you started a shape-shifting to match whoever you were with. So you started changing who you were to match the people that you surround yourself with. For example, in friendships, you become the therapist. In love, you become the healer. At work, you become the peacemaker. And at home, maybe you were the emotional caretaker or even the scapegoat. And for me, I can identify with each and every one. In friendships, I'm always a good listener. I've always given good solutions and advice. Not that I've never gotten advice from any of my friendships. In my previous friendships, I have. But I was always the person that you can just call and get good advice from, or just a listening ear. Or sometimes even tough love. And in love, I always become the healer. If I'm in a committed relationship, I'm hands down the healer. All the time. Healing, talking about my person's past issues, their inner child issues, and all those things, and just trying to be like the best support system and just trying to hold everything together and, just be the healer for my person. And when it comes to peacekeeper at work, there's been several times where I was trying to keep the peace in certain situations. And, and it's just not always my responsibility if us adults can't get it together and work cordial with one another and respectful and keep work as work and not make it a frenzy, a place that is just frenzied. And at home, as far as the emotional caretaker, absolutely. Even as a little girl, the scapegoat, absolutely. Absolutely. And in all of that emotional labor, I forgot myself. I stopped asking, what do I want? What do I believe? Or what do I need? I don't even think I've ever had a chance to ask those things. Have you done that? Have you ever said to yourself, what do I want? What do I believe? What do I need? Even if you're like alone, it feels so uncomfortable sometimes. Like it almost feels like an emptiness. Well, it used to feel like that for me all the time. Not really peace, but just like a void, So I would consider those things a snip of what I consider the empath's identity crisis. So how does this even start? Okay, so for most empaths or unhealthy empaths, and I want to really stipulate that because, I created the term unhealthy empath. It just clicked, when I started going through the motions and I'm on this spiritual healing journey and I'm trying to figure out myself. And I realized, yes, I'm an empath, but I'm not a very healthy one. Okay? So for most unhealthy empaths, this identity loss begins in childhood. We grew up in homes where we had to tune into the emotions of others to survive. So maybe one or both of your parents were emotionally unstable, like mine. My mother, I believe, is bipolar undiagnosed. She has all the signs and symptoms of it. Or they could have been emotionally unstable or unavailable. Or maybe you had to grow up too fast. I was left home alone a lot. And I definitely felt like I had to grow up a little bit more wiser than some of my friends. I remember going food shopping my first time at 13 years old, learning how to pay the light bill at 8. Just things that maybe I didn't really need to learn so soon because it didn't give me a chance to just be a kid in certain areas and develop a healthy emotional state. You could have learned early on that if you keep your mom happy or your dad happy, everything will be okay. Or if you can stay invisible, you won't get yelled at. Or if you help everyone, maybe they'll love you. And that's just all three of them were exactly what I experienced. I've always wanted to keep the peace and try to be okay so everything's okay, and try to be happy with my mom and try to make her happy, or stay out the way so I don't get in trouble sometime. But the first and last one really, really, really I identify with wholeheartedly. If I'm helpful, maybe, I'll get more love, And what it does is it just teaches us that our identity is only safe when we're meeting someone else's emotional needs and expectations. And then we carry that into our adulthood. We attract these friendships and romantic relationships and work environments, all while disconnecting more and more from our true, authentic self. And when we attract these things, we literally, it's an energetic it's like a magnet. So pretend you're holding this huge magnet and you're just pulling in everything that I just described. But it's the polar opposite. So you're getting people that are needy emotionally. They may even be a narcissist or bipolar or just many other things that they may have experienced. And you're attracting these energies in your environment because your parents set the tone, your guardians set the tone on what type of energy you're going to attract as you age and age out of the home, right? So as empaths, or unhealthy empaths and healthy empaths, our gift is to feel very deeply. But when it's unhealed and unhealthy, that gift turns into a trap, okay? A big old trap. And we start believing that I'm only valuable when I'm helping someone, or I have no identity outside of being the strong one. Or if I stop showing up for others, they're going to abandon me. They're not going to like me, right? If I put a boundary. And it's not true, but it feels very true to us because it's literally wired into our emotional memory. So let's go even deeper. Okay, so here are just a few signs that you may be going through an empath identity crisis, or unhealthy empath identity crisis, because a true healthy empath would not be feeling any of these things. Okay, so sometimes you may feel, number one, you feel anxious or empty when you're alone. Do you ever feel anxious or like empty if you're not around anyone, if someone didn't invite you up in places, or you just feel like, like you're by yourself and you really don't want to be alone, but you are? For me, it started at 2. I was always being left alone in some instance at 2 years old. And I'll get into my story later on in other content videos, but just know that I was left home a lot. Even when people were there, I was by myself. Walking out the apartment my grandfather lived in, walking to the neighbor's house next door, just at 2 years old. And I can vividly remember doing this. So it can be figuratively or literally being left alone. Can make you anxious or empty because of what you experienced as a youth. Number 2, you constantly seek validation, not just praise, but confirmation that you are okay. Like everything's okay, you're good. No worries, you're good. Like, okay, I need the validation. But see, unhealthy empaths, we don't walk around saying, I need validation, I want people to validate me. It's just in our aura. It's unconsciously or in our subconscious that we're doing it, that we're needing it. And maybe I'll make that like an in-depth video about how the unconscious part of us needs validation, right? So the next one, number 3, you don't know what your personal values or boundaries are. That's a big one. You have no clue on how to set boundaries because you're too busy worrying about if somebody's going to like you or if you're not being a good person to someone. Number 4, you change your personality depending on who you are around. Now, I didn't do this much, but I did have, I remember being differently around certain people, even if it was like a man that I was dating or talking to. Not that it would be a whole personality change, but just the way, I pretend or act. And it was like a slight difference than what you really would know if you knew deeper me, And maybe it was like a protective measure, I'm not sure. Number 5, you're exhausted, not just physically, but spiritually and mentally, okay? Even emotionally. Number 6, you say yes even when you mean no, and then feel resentful. That's a big one for me. You can go back in my previous videos, the struggles empaths face, the friendship dynamic. Oh, I just had such a big problem saying no. No just felt like kryptonite to me. It just felt like, if I say no, they're going to think this of me and I feel bad, and so I rather lie and say yes and then, maybe not show up because I just was too chicken to say no because I just didn't want them to be mad at me. But now they have a reason to be mad if I'm ghosting behind saying yes. So it's like you don't win, Just be honest. Number 7, you can't remember the last time you made a decision just for you. When was the last time you made the decision to take care of you or to do something nice for yourself or to follow your dream or to take a course and do something that's going to enhance your life or do something that you're going to have a good time with doing without you feeling like you have to justify it or you have to make an excuse where you can't do it, right? So if any of those 7 hit home, know that you're not broken I say this every time. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're just in a complete cycle that started from survival, not from self-love. Okay? So, we're going to ask this question: how to start reclaiming yourself, and how do we begin healing this? So before, maybe I won't get into the healing part in depth here, but I will say it really starts by remembering, just sitting back and just remembering that you're not just a mirror for other people's feelings, that you are full and worthy, a complete soul with your own inner voice, your own inner goals and wants and needs. So just remember that. Just remember that you are your own person. Okay? But here are just a quick, I wrote down a few quick things that you can help to heal this. Okay? So the first one is spend quiet time with yourself. So that means disconnect from social media for a few hours, even if it's an hour, even if it's 30 minutes, even if it's 3-4 hours. Just no noise, no absorbing anyone else's energy. And then ask yourself, what emotions are mine? And what did I pick up from someone else? What emotions did I pick up from someone else? Right? Or you can ask yourself, what do I feel right now? Or you can get a journal and write in that journal. I created a burn book journal on Amazon years ago. It has like a little lotus on the front, and you can write all in that journal, anything you want, and when you're done, it's time to burn it. I think I'm going to pull that journal out and do that for myself. Just write everything, and just write everything that I don't like and what I'm trying to heal from, and just burn it. And then here's another one. Speaking of writing things down, you can write 10 things that I am that reflect who you are beyond being an empath. So like, it's not about others, it's about you. So for example, I'm a good friend, or I'm a good person, but these things reflect others and what you are for others. So you would think something like, I am creative, I am playful, I am a leader, I am a seeker of truth, I am a quiet storm, I am brilliant, or I am learning to love myself each and every day. Right? This is really more about like rediscovering your total essence of who you are and pouring back into yourself. And you may not even know who you are because you weren't nurtured to know who you are. So this might even feel odd, because it does for me. Even though I'm 45 and I'm talking about this, it still feels odd for me, because this wasn't what I was completely taught as a child. Not that I wasn't taught anything well. It just was never, hey, I am creative, I am playful, I am funny, you know? It was always about other people. And just to clarify, when you're a parent, you want to pour this into your children when they're little. Pour these affirming words into them when they're little, so they can grow up with confidence and love for themselves. And that way they will be even better to the people outside of them. And then for us empaths, or unhealthy empaths, this is a hard one. It's just basically setting a small boundary. Setting that just one and just start small boundary. So, for example, saying to yourself or to the person that is asking you to do something, say, let me think about it, instead of immediately saying yes. Because we always trap ourselves as unhealthy empaths. Yes. Okay, no problem. And we expect people to know in our voice, like, I don't think she wants to do that. But not people that are self-centered. They're not thinking about what your voice sounds like. They're just thinking about, okay, yes, cool, thanks. That's it. And then turning your phone on. Do not disturb, during your recharge time. So instead of you seeing the notifications and alerts, put your phone on airplane mode, or just take an hour, put it on the charger, even 30 minutes, and not look at your phone. And then tell a family, a friend, a lover, I can't hold space for this right now, but I care and love it. I love you, but I matter too. Because when everybody can come to you for something, then what do you have left if your entire cup is empty? So, my beautiful souls and unhealthy empaths, and any empath that's joining, it's just not just for unhealthy empaths. This is for healthy empaths as well. If you want to learn about us unhealthy empaths and give us some tips or things that you guys do to maintain your peace and your cortisol levels, feel free to drop it in the comments. And to all my beautiful souls out there and unhealthy empaths, just remember that your empathy is a beautiful gift, but you don't have to lose yourself to use it. You are not just a container for everyone else's emotions, and you are worthy of discovering who you are and living that truth fully. So if this message touched something inside of you, someone, even if it's just one person, I invite you to sit with me, reflect, journal, and breathe. Do some meditation work. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on my journaling because I've always said I have to journal. And like I said, I even created a journal and put it on Amazon. But I want to get back into what I said I'm going to do. And I want to fill that entire book up and then go somewhere safe and burn it. So if you feel called, beautiful souls, share your experience in the comments. Let's heal together. And until next time, I'm sending you love and light and clarity. Give yourself a big warm hug. This is the Healing Empath, and you are never alone. Until next time, ciao.